Oh, it's probably doing that thing again where the source stops working. That sucks because it takes forever to get into that game. Takes forever to load. Alright, hold on. I think I know how to fix this. It should not be a black screen. Alright. Sometimes this fixes it. Okay, I think it's fixed now. That game would run on a toaster, so that does not need to be tested. That game could probably run that on like a decade-old computer. That's not what we're after tonight. Just test stuff that ran poorly before. Ugh. And Naraka takes ages to load. Takes even longer than DFO. It's probably because the anti-cheat's gotta... It's gotta go through every process you have running. To make sure you don't have like some hacks on. Which does work. I hear that, what's it called? Rumbleverse has a ton of cheaters. Like, there's no anti-cheat in that game at all. It's definitely a necessary evil. I think that game proves that people are, like, teleporting around the screen. They have, like, infinite stamina and stuff. I see why it's necessary. Okay, let's just play with bots. See how it runs. Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos about cheating in Rumbleverse. It's like very rampant. That game must have.
If you ever find yourself afraid, remember this.
Still a black screen? What? There's like one more thing I can try. It should not be doing this though. Hold on. Fucking A. Well, this is why I'm testing. Come on, man. Like, everything else is working but this. Stupid. It takes so long to get into this game. The loading takes forever. Why is this just refusing to work? Damn it. No reason at all. Just to piss me off. It's doing this. Ugh. It takes like 5 minutes to get into gameplay in this. I hate how long some games take to load. It makes it a real pain in the ass to test stuff. I used to be able to get into games so much faster. Now everything takes ages to load. Then when you get into the game, it's got to load a bunch of logos and shit. Alright, well this is working fine, but I don't need to test this. This game works fine. I had this on max settings on the old card. I just want to make sure it's not gonna corrupt my save or something. Don't need any more issues tonight. I already tried Strangers. It runs fine. I just like don't really want to play that game again. It's too frustrating. It's just frustrating and annoying to play. I'm like not really wanting to play that game again. I thought about buying the DLC, but I'm like, you just get one shot by everything. It's not fun. The balancing in that game is whack. We'll try it though. I don't really want to pay $25 to get pissed off. Like, been playing a lot of less frustrating games lately to avoid that. Trying to avoid all the malding and getting pissed off.
Here. Jack, let's go.
Oh, the rock's solid. What did this?
I don't know. But they look like they're sleeping. I hope their dreams are at least pleasant.
I guess on the new difficulty, everything just one-shots you. So I'm like, I'm not really wanting to do that because
Agreed.
that's what I hated about the first Neo. Just how artificial it was.
We're in for it now.
The game wasn't too difficult, but it just got one-shot by everything, and it just got old. I wasn't really having
Let's
fun.
go slowly. Your defenses
I stopped
falter.
playing that game. Kind of the same thing with this. How am
My
I doing
God,
tonight?
we
I'm
need to
testing the
be
new
there.
graphics card.
Shall we take a break?
How is it looking on your end?
You've got my vote.
The stable 60? I don't really want to play this game again.
Not off to a good start.
That's exactly what I'm talking about right here. It's so frustrating. It's just annoying play. How is it looking? It's looking laggy on my end. On the exploit window. How is it looking for you guys? Computer's not taxed at all right now.
Be vigilant.
Be ready for anything.
This game is a piece of shit, so...
Does not fear us.
Think before you strike. Here it comes.
Well, it's definitely better than it was before. But yeah, I'm over that game. I'm over that game. It's like the events in PGR, but the events in PGR are like you get pissed off, you get annoyed, and it's like too difficult, and then you get crap rewards. Like that entire game is like that. It's just like you get one shot by something off screen, and it's just like, you know, why am I even playing this? Like there's other challenging games I could be playing that are not quite that frustrating. That's kind of how I feel when I play that. I'm sure the DLC is fun, but I'm not really wanting to sign myself up for playing that right now. That game was fun in small doses. It wasn't terrible, but I feel like Neo is just better in every way, and that game runs completely fine, you know, with the actual recommended specs. Stranger of Paradise does not, so you need an order of magnitude better specs than what they list on their page to even think about running that game. I don't think the game itself is really worth it either. That's the problem. It was okay. I played that like 7 times less than I played Neo 2, so That should tell you the difference in quality. Yeah, that game is just mad frustrating to play. I mean, I guess if you have some kind of mental inability to ever be pissed off, you could play that game, I guess.
Gotta remember to scope that Fisk construction site for Yuri.
Attention units. Civilians are trapped following a car accident. Incident is active near Times Square. Proceed with caution.
Yeah, this is running a little bit better. This game's optimization, it just doesn't like my computer. This game is mostly CPU bound, so the graphics card is not working anywhere near as hard as the CPU, and I can't upgrade that yet. It's going to be like another $600 at least. How is this looking though? Is it laggy at all? It's not too bad on my end. It's playable. It's better than it was. But this game is kind of pointless to test because it's the
Attention units. Robbery in
it's the
progress.
CPU.
Suspects
I
are
don't have a
armed.
bottleneck in the
Reported
computer,
location is near
but
Lincoln. Over.
this game like barely uses CPU, the GPU. Yeah, this is more than playable. It's better than it was. I just need to know how it is for your end. So I can definitely play this without streaming, and it won't go to waste. It's just... I don't really know how much people really want to watch me play this anyway. This game is, highly rated. A lot of people played it like 4.5 years ago. I never touched this, so I heard it was a good game. How is it looking? I need some responses here, please, before I switch games.
Possible drug deal in progress. Nearest unit approach with
Requesting a
caution.
response.
Officers near Devil's Shelf. Please report to the scene.
Hello? Anybody? I just need, like, a couple words. Hello? Alright. Yeah, but are you running the stream on 60 FPS, though? You gotta tell me that. Looks fine? Ah.
1031. Repeat. Report of a break-in. Nearest officer, please proceed to Roseville.
Alright. Okay, so that works. It's a little bit choppy, but that's just the game. It's not the graphics card. Stranger of Paradise worked really well, too, but I like just legit don't want to play that game again. It's too frustrating for no payoff. The game just brought out the worst in me. I'm not really wanting to play it anymore, but it seems to work. I don't know, maybe when they put out all the DLC for that and I have like a really dead month of no games to play, I might play that again, but right now I'm just like, nah, I've got other stuff to finish I haven't even touched yet, so going back to that game is a very low priority. I definitely had some fun with it, but just the way that game is designed, the artificial difficulty, and how badly it was running just kind of combined and made things worse. Give me a second here. Spider-Man game was definitely overstreamed when it came out. There were a lot of people playing it. Oh. Yeah, Crisis was a meme. That game is there's nothing special about that game at all. It was just like the beginning of people starting to circle jerk about how good their computers were. That game was like one of the first ones that people really did that on, because back then, like, most stuff would run just fine. But then Crysis came out, like, the game is like 2006, 2007, and people started bragging that they could run it. It's like, the game is, it's not really all that, man. It's like an average FPS. There's nothing revolutionary about it. It's just the hardware back then couldn't run it, so people like to circle jerk about it. There were definitely better games you could play back then that ran fine. Play Unreal Tournament. That shit is way better than Crysis. But yeah, I remember that. It was a pretty big deal if you could even think about running that game. Why are the controls in this all messed up? Controls in this are all glitched. What the hell? I think Cyberpunk had the potential to be the new Crysis, with people circle jerking about it, but then, unlike Crysis, people realized that Cyberpunk was a broken mess, so didn't really see too many people do that with I don't know why the controls aren't working in this game anymore. It's just like controls in this game, they have this lazy thing, they don't let you just change the buttons. It's like the battle controls aren't working. Like, change my fucking controls. This sucks, man. The only bad thing about this port is they couldn't even be bothered to make, they couldn't even be bothered to make an actual thing that you can just configure it with. I hate having to do this. Like, you can't even make, like, just a normal control thing. Alright, let's see if it works now. Any thoughts on Diablo 4? My thoughts on that game is it's not going to be what people want it to be. It's going to have microtransactions and battle passes and shit, I'm sure. Which I don't really mind, because I play mobile games on the side and stuff like that. That doesn't bother me, but anybody expecting that game to be like 3, where you buy it once, and there's like a one-time expansion, and that's it. That's not going to happen. They're going to turn it into a service game. It won't be as overbearing with the spending real money as Diablo Immortal, but it very much is not going to be like 3. Like, there are people that bought that game when it came out like 10 years ago, and they haven't spent a dime in it. They never used the real money auction house. Don't expect that to happen. I don't believe them for a second when they say the microtransactions are going to be minimal. I don't believe that at all. I think that's bullshit. I would be shocked if that was the case. The upside is, for that game, they'll be able to do more substantial updates, because they'll actually have income coming in, whereas I think that was the plan with Diablo 3, but everybody hated the real money auction house so much because the drop rate on anything halfway decent was like you had a better chance of winning a lottery. It was nice that you could sell it legally in the game, but it ruined the gameplay loop. It's the whole point of Diablo is just endlessly grinding and getting loot forever. So when you make the drop rate that abysmal, the game kind of doesn't work. Which is why they took it out, but that came at the cost of, like, you know, they're not making any long-term money off that game. Probably the biggest income stream they got was when they put it on console, because they put it on PS4 and Xbox, and they put it on Switch later. They probably got a bunch of money from that. So some people prefer to play the console versions because there's controller support. But, like, other than that, you know, they got the big initial wave of people buying it, and, you know, the sales and stuff. The expansion probably brought some people back because they got rid of the auction house. Do I have a Steam Deck? No. I would like to get one, but at the same time, it's kind of frivolous to get one because I already have a good computer. I just need a new processor and I'll be pretty much set for gaming stuff for, like, probably the next several years. And also I work, like, around the corner, so I work on the channel and I take care of my neighbor and her cats and their family and stuff, so I don't really need one. If I ever come across a spare $500, I would, but I don't know, it just seems kind of frivolous to do that. It would be nice to have, yes, but I already kind of have a gaming phone, and I play lots of retro games and stuff on there. I think I'm good with that. If I somehow had enough Steam games with cards in them to get like $500 in Steam credit, I would get one, but I wouldn't feel comfortable taking donations for that. It doesn't really offer anything that I can't already do, and I work from home and I work at my neighbor's house around the corner, so it's not like I'm not really the ideal market for it. Ideal market would be people that have, like, very they're away from home a lot, they're away from their computer a lot, or they have a job where they sit around a lot, like security guards or firefighters or something. I think it's good, but I hear there's lots of problems with the compatibility. Some games don't run the way they should and stuff. You have to work with it more to get the games to work. Then they lead on. So I think I'd rather wait for, like, a revision, but I'm not really the ideal audience for it. I mean, I'm over there a lot, yes, but I have, like, tons of old games on my phone. Like, I'm completely happy with that. I don't need a Steam Deck. It would be nice to have, but in terms of, like, making content, it's not a good investment. Not at all. It's a waste of money. You know, my friend sent me some money to help with this, and I'm like, this is a better investment, because the only thing I need now is a motherboard and a processor. I'm going to get an i9 12900K so that I can do emulation better. I can pretty much run any game. I won't have any bottlenecks at all. But it's going to be like 200 for the motherboard and then like 500 for the for the processor. So it's just one thing at a time. Would I do with $10 million? I would get shit for myself, of course, but I would also give back to the friends who've helped me. My friend who helps me afford stuff for the channel, I would, like, pay him back everything he's ever given me, and more, with, like, interest. I give him, like, everything back. My friends that help me with the channel, I'd help my mom out, my dad, close friends and stuff. And then I would worry about myself, because I don't really have that many possessions. I have a computer, I have the phone, I have a couple consoles, I have clothes, games. That's basically it. I'm not really a collector. No, that's kind of a generic answer, but that's really how I feel. I'm not one of those people that collects, like, a bunch of old games and then doesn't play them. That's happening right now, by the way. There were some Neo Geo prototypes that were found earlier this year, and the guy that has it doesn't want to dump it. I'm like, it's kind of your job to dump it, dude. Like, that's a piece of history. It's a literal piece of history. Something that, you know, the board could die and that game could be lost forever. But then, like, you don't want to do that. Open world games, no. I think open world games just hide you from the good part. Alright, so I'm gonna assume this game's looking fine. It just knocked up the resolution. Seems okay. Yeah, there's still some arcade games out there that are undumped. People that have them are collectors, and they feel like a lot of them just entitled. I mean, they're entitled to something that they owned, but I feel like in that situation, you have a literal piece of history. It's no different than, like, I don't know, there was like some kind of special version of the Bible that you found in like a bookstore for $5, and there's like only one of them in the world. Like, it's kind of your job to scan it, right? Like, there's not going to be another one. You kind of have to do it for the sake of history preservation. But collectors are rich people, obviously. We know how rich people are. They don't really always think about others, only themselves. Yeah, that's my take on it. Especially with video games. I think with video games it's worse because we've already lost so many. And a game like this will be around forever, pretty much, because it's on PC and there's no DRM, so you could just give a copy of this to somebody if you wanted to. I don't see why you would need to, because this game's down to like $30 already. You just like not eat out for a day and afford this game, but stuff like that the collectors are holding hostage, like, those are legit pieces of history. A lot of it is they feel like it will devalue their investment. It's like, well, you still have like the only physical copy. All it really does is it just ensures that, you know, you don't leave the board in your basement for like 40 years and then it dies and then the game is gone forever. There's no way to recover it. If you ever wanted to sell something like that, you would definitely get your money back for sure. People still pay crazy amounts for retro games, even though phones can run like all those games for free. There's no real reason to buy it. If you actually just want to actually play the game and not just not just circle jerk about having a copy. You don't need to buy a physical copy. There's not even like a morality thing about it, because it's like it's the IP owner's responsibility to make it available. And like when you buy a retro game from a collector or whatever, a store, the people who made the game don't see any of that money. You're lining another random person's pockets. It's not like, they're gonna go track down the Japanese dudes that made like Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and give them like, $500 to say it would be nice if that happened. That's a very highly regarded game and it's hard to find, but that's not how things work. Like, I will always buy something legit if I have the capability to. If they remaster it or something, because it's legit easier as long as it's a good port. And definitely are some instances like the Mega Man X collection, which is has a fuck ton of input lag, so it's not really the ideal way to play the game. You're honestly better just buying that to support Capcom and tell them that we want more Mega Man X games. But actually playing that thing, the input lag on the first 3 games is awful. You really are better off just downloading the ROM at that point. But that's part of the problem as well. Some of the games do come back and they get terrible ports, where it's like, well, the ROM is still better. The game industry is kind of like what's happened with the music and movie industry, where they complained about piracy so much, and the solution was basically just to make the shit actually affordable. You have to make it easier. You have to make it easier to buy it legitimately than to pirate it. That's the only way to beat piracy for anything. And like, music's in a pretty good spot. They just put the stuff up on iTunes and it's $10. You don't even have to go to the store. Somebody could even give you a gift card. You don't even have to have a credit card. And that's what's killed music piracy. Right there. That's what killed it. The people who still pirate music, it's either like not available, like a lot of the retro games, or they were never going to pay for it in the first place. Movies with the streaming, it definitely helps, but the problem with streaming movies is that they can take it down at any time, and then it's immediately lost media. It'll definitely get to the point where they won't even make physical releases anymore, because that's kind of how PC games are right now. The physical releases for PC games are pretty much just like collector's editions and stuff, or it's literally just a box with a code to download the game, which doesn't help for preservation, and it sucks to buy something like that because you're just buying a piece of paper. You don't have like a CD or a manual or a poster or anything. It's literally just a box. That's what the Fortnite ones that they have in like Walmart are. Those are really just there so that computer illiterate parents can buy it for their kids. Like there's no actual disc in there at all. And even if there was, the kid would still have to like go online and update it. But yeah, I think movies are in a pretty bad spot right now, honestly. Because now there's like 800 streaming services, and like I think the ironic thing is like gaming used to be the most expensive hobby, right? It used to be, really expensive games, and a lot of them didn't last that long, so unless you were like a speedrunner or challenge runner or something, you get bored of them fast. The ironic thing is, I think normies spend more money on entertainment than nerds do, gamers. You couldn't really say that before. When Netflix was like the only one and like everything was on there, watching movies and TV shows was definitely cheaper than gaming. But now everybody has a streaming service, and depending on how broad your tastes are and what you like to watch, that shit can be way more expensive. I mean, my neighbor, she has like Discovery Plus, she has Amazon Prime, she has Netflix. That's got to be like at least like $60 a month. I know she has She has one for horror movies too. Like, it's basically like a AAA game a month, like just for that. And she doesn't even have like Paramount or Disney Plus or anything. That shit adds up. It's kind of weird. Nerds are kind of winning with entertainment right now when you think about it. Because there's like so many streaming services and a lot of them only have like one thing you would want to watch. And the other stuff is owned by another company. That's why Netflix is so desperate to get those exclusive shows like the that Resident Evil one that just got canceled. They're desperate to get that because they don't have a monopoly on that anymore. There was a time when like Disney was on Netflix and like Nickelodeon. Uh, a lot of the Paramount and Viacom stuff was on there too. But now they all have their own streaming services. They all want like $10, $20 a month. Whereas with gaming, it's like gaming. It kind of depends on what your buying habits are. If you buy like every AAA game the moment it comes out, it's definitely more expensive than watching movies right now from streaming. But if you buy stuff on sale and you only buy stuff when you're going to play it, I would definitely say it is cheaper, which is kind of sad when you think about it, because it used to be like a lot easier to just load up Netflix and just watch something, but they made it so much harder. It's crazy how many there are. There's like what, like a dozen active streaming services right now. Yeah, Spotify helps too. The problem with Spotify is you can't like buy the music, which is part of the problem. That's the problem with streaming. I know a lot of animated stuff was removed from, I think, HBO Max earlier this month or last month. It's like, yeah, you can't watch that stuff anymore. You have to go find a torrent and hope somebody is seeding it and then download it. Then you have to be savvy enough to even know how to use a torrent, which is beyond most people's comprehension. I barely do it myself. Uh, I'm fortunate enough that a lot of the stuff I want, like retro games, there's sites where you could just download those. It's not really that big of a deal, but yeah, it's kind of weird right now. My neighbor has to be spending like at least like it's got to be at least $60, $70 a month just on streaming services. At least, maybe more. I know she's got a couple of them. Alright, I think I'll try out like one more game, but it seems like the consensus is everything is working fine and it's working better. So that's about all I really wanted. Spotify doesn't really solve the problem in my opinion because you can't buy the music. The ideal way is iTunes, because that's what killed music piracy. The billionaires running those companies. I remember I used to use Napster when I was a teenager because I was a broke teenager. Like, how am I going to get that stuff? I can't. I don't have money. It's like there was this whole big news media blowout about it. It's like, well, if you make it easier and affordable, then people won't do that, which is exactly what happened. iTunes came a few years later. It's like, hey, here's this new album. It's $10. Or we'll put movies on there. It's like $10. And that killed Napster. I always found that just to be... It's just greed. Like, if you make shit affordable, people will go out of their way to just not pirate it. Let's see here. Earthbound for the N64. What is that, like a prototype or something? I've never even heard of Earthbound on the N64. What is that? I'm curious now. Most of those got dumped. Most of them did. Most of them got dumped. Like the whole thing about the 3DS Wii U libraries go down. That entire library has been dumped. The entire thing is, you could just get it on the internet. Even the most like trash indie games, you can get them. Nothing was lost. And people, I know there was like a big push to like, I think people were taking donations to download like everything off the Vita store, the PS3 store, because they announced that that was going to shut down too. Like all those games are available. The Switch as well. Like you can find rips of those games illegally. It's easy. It's not ethical to do that because the games are still legally available. But yeah, those games are still, you can find them. I mean, shit, I could dump games and put them on the internet if I wanted to. I don't want to do that because I don't believe in doing that when something is still easily available. But yeah, I have a jailbroken Switch. I could buy a game and dump it and put it on the internet, no problem. It's just I don't want to do that. Yeah, everything on the 3DS is already preserved, all of it. The 3DS got hacked really early on, so the people who pirated those games and put them on the internet are like unintentional heroes. They kind of are, really. It's not really ethical to do that when you can, still buy the game legally, and more importantly, the people that made it still get supported by it. But yeah, the 3DS got hacked really early on, so the library was pretty much preserved like every time a new game would come out. The Switch is like that as well. Even the most random trash indie games on there. So there's a lot of on Switch. They're all like dumped already. So 20 years from now, you'll be able to play all those jank-ass mobile ports. And nothing's stopping you. And realistically, all anyone's going to care about is like the big games. But the most random jank ever made, you'll be able to play on there just fine. It's not going to be a problem. There's so much trash on Switch. A lot of really bad mobile ports.
Come on, Dad, where are you?
They try to hide that they're mobile ports, but it's painfully obvious because of how they look. Where a lot of times they don't even tweak the interface.
That's what's called easy money.
Hi there, you little dog. Come on! I'm studying so I can...
Here's your go.
It's just stuttering a
Did you
little
know?
bit.